information that the next witness is the medical examiner. There are photographs that will be shown of the autopsy during that testimony.
Thank you for that warning for the gallery. So if that's going to be hard or you don't want to be here, this will be your opportunity to step out. Okay? Thank you, everybody. We're back shortly. State your next witness, please.
Dr. Lauren Decker.
Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
If you could please be seated, state and spell your name for the record.
My name is Dr. Lauren Decker, Laurendecker.
How are you employed?
I work at the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's Office as an assistant medical examiner.
What do you do as an assistant medical examiner?
I am a physician who determines cause and manner of death by examining a person who has passed away.
Could you just briefly summarize sort of the training and experience you have?
Yes, I completed an undergraduate degree at the University of Illinois. Following that, 4 years of medical school, also at the University of Illinois. Following that, 4 years of anatomic and clinical pathology residency. That was done at the University of New Mexico. And then following that, a 1-year forensic pathology fellowship, also at the University of New Mexico.
What is forensic pathology?
It is the field of medicine in which we determine cause and manner of death by examining a person who has passed away.
How long have you been working as a medical examiner, an assistant medical examiner?
Approximately 7 years.
All in Milwaukee County?
No.
Can you tell us where else?
Yes, I worked for 1 year at the Cook County Medical Examiner's Office in Chicago, about 5 years in New Mexico at the Office of the Medical Investigator, and then I'm about 2 years into working here in Milwaukee County.
How many autopsies do you say would you say that you have done in your career?
Approximately 2,500.
And have you testified as an expert in the field of forensic pathology before?
Yes, I have.
And you've testified about coming to determinations of cause and manner of death before?
Yes.
How many times?
A little over 40.
Can you tell us what the typical components of an autopsy are?
Yes, the autopsy starts with an external examination. That's where we document how we've received the body, what the body is wearing, what the body looks like, any injuries or natural disease we might see. Following that, we collect evidence, and then following that, we do an internal examination where we look at the organs, both inside and outside the body, to look for natural disease and injuries. And then after that, in some cases, other testing needs to be done, toxicology and microbiology, things like that.
When a body comes to you, how does that typically happen?
So usually our investigator is called to the scene. So those are people who go to the scene on our behalf. They gather information about how the body is found, information from family members. That body is then placed in a body bag, which is sealed at the scene, brought to our office. And then once it gets to our office, it's documented. We take photographs as they come in to the office. And then whenever the next day is, either it could be later that morning or the following day, the autopsy examination is done.
The autopsy examination is, to the best of your ability, done as soon as possible. Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Why is that important?
The body can continue to decompose even if it's in a refrigerated environment. Any evidence is also, it's important to collect that as soon as possible.
The body, you had already said it, you're documenting it first as is, right?
Yes.
And what's the importance of that for you?
To make sure that we know exactly how the body is received. So sometimes bodies are covered in dirt, and that might be helpful. Sometimes the clothing is a strew, and that might be helpful in some cases.
You're doing the examination in-house, right?
Yes.
In your office?
Yes.
Okay. And so it's important to get the body there as it was seen at the scene, and then from there, what do you do?
So usually we would, after documentation, of course, undress the body if they're wearing clothes, wash the body off, and get a better idea of any external signs of natural disease or injuries.
That would be the external review.
Yes,
You conduct an internal examination as well?
yes.
What does the internal examination entail you doing?
So we start with the typical Y incision that you probably have all seen on TV. Then after that, we remove the chest plate. We take photographs of all the organs as is, look around, make sure that the organs are not injured as is, and then the organs are removed one by one and dissected outside the body to better look for natural disease.
What kinds of tools are used during the internal examination?
We have to use shears to remove the rib cage, and we use a saw, one that would be used in an orthopedic situation, to remove the skull cap.
Why do you need to use tools for that?
The bones are very difficult to, it requires tools to remove the bones in order to see inside the body cavities.
In addition to the internal external examinations, do you review any available reports to get information about how this person came to you?
Yes, so our investigator will write a report detailing what they have seen on scene. Sometimes law enforcement reports are important for us to review.
How about medical records if available?
Yes, medical records also.
Did you conduct an autopsy into remains recovered that were determined to belong to Sade Robinson?
I supervised the autopsy, but I was there, yes.
Can you tell us about that? What do you mean when you say you supervised it?
Yes, so just like I had to perform a fellowship in forensic pathology to be accredited, to become board accredited, we have fellows who work with us. In this case, a fellow, Dr. Rohr, was the one who performed the autopsy under my supervision.
And for the record, that's spelling of Rohr is R-O-H-R-E-R.
Yes,
He was a forensic pathology fellow back in April of 2024.
yes.
And when you supervised him, was a final autopsy report done?
Yes,
What do you call that report?
the autopsy protocol.
Who signed off on the autopsy protocol in this case?
I did.
I'm going to show you what's been marked as Exhibit 408. Do you recognize Exhibit 408? You can take a moment to page through if you need to.
I do.
What is Exhibit 408?
It is the autopsy protocol,
It's a copy of it.
yes, for Sade Robinson.
And the front page of that autopsy protocol, it contains whose signature?
Mine.
I'd move 408 into evidence.
Any objection?
No.
It's received.
When you conducted this autopsy, it was a little unique in that you were not in receipt of the entire body from day one, right?
That's correct.
Can you tell us over the period of how long you were reviewing different body parts that had been recovered approximately?
April 2nd was the date of death. April 3rd was the first date that we received a body part. June 19th was the last date. And that is all in 2024.
Okay. This is sort of an unusual autopsy, correct? In that you were doing it over the period of a time period, right?
It is very unusual.
How many times have you had a situation like this?
Once before.
And typically, you are just in receipt of the entire body that you can examine right then very close to the date of death, correct?
Yes,
That's not what happened here.
correct.
Because you were receiving body parts in the weeks after April 2nd, 2024, did you notice that there was decomposition?
Yes.
April 2nd, what body part was first recovered and brought to the medical examiner's office?
A right lower extremity, so the foot and the calf and the knee of the right leg.
I'm going to show you exhibits 418, 413, 414. It's actually 413 through 418. Just page through those and tell me if you recognize what those are.
These are photographs taken at the time of autopsy of the case that is given the number 24-02296. It is a right lower extremity.
The case number 24-02296, that's a case number unique to the Milwaukee County Medical Examiner's Office, correct?
Yes,
And that was the first case number assigned to the case of Sade Robinson, right?
yes.
Okay. When other body parts were received by you at subsequent times, were they given different case numbers originally?
Yes,
At the end, when you prepared your autopsy protocol or your autopsy report, did you put all of those under the same case number?
yes.
And was it that case number?
It is, yes.
Okay. I would move 413 through 418 and then ask to publish.
Any objection?
No?
They're received.
Doctor, before I publish these photos, can you tell us what you observed upon receipt of the leg and your external examination of the leg?
Yes, so it is a right lower extremity. It had been amputated from the rest of the body. At the level of the thigh, there are incisions at the amputation site, meaning that a sharp instrument was used to cut the skin and tissue. The bone itself was fractured, and there were linear markings on the bone that indicate likely due to the knife that was used to cut the tissue around the bone.
I'm going to show you exhibits. We're going to start with exhibit 413. Is this the leg?
Yes,
All right. And then 418. There's a measurement tool at the bottom of the page, right?
yes.
Based on the measurements that you were able to do, did you have an approximation as to how tall the person was whose leg this belonged to?
Yes, we estimated about 5 foot, plus or minus a couple of inches either direction.
The tissue at, when you said amputation site, what are you talking about?
The area where the leg was removed from the body.
Were you able to make any conclusions, putting exhibit 414 on the screen, any conclusions regarding how the skin and muscle tissue had been cut?
So you can see that the edges are very smooth. That is typical of an incised wound, meaning that a sharp instrument was used. There's no bleeding anywhere that we can see here, meaning that this was likely done after death.
How is it that you were able to tell there was no bleeding?
Just visually, there's no evidence of bleeding at the sites. You would expect it to be red.
Okay. 415, what are we looking at here?
This is just a close view of the amputation site, depicting additional smaller incised wounds. They're slightly irregular all the way around the amputation site.
What is an incised wound?
It is a superficial or not as deep in sharp force injury. So think of something like a doctor would do with a scalpel. That would be an incised wound.
416. This is the other side of the leg?
Yes.
Okay.
Just the same thing. So irregular incised wounds along the amputation margin.
When you're saying irregular, what do you mean? What are you referring to?
The raggedness of the skin. It looks like multiple cuts were made.
And lastly, 417.
Similar. Here it's less irregular, so more regular.
Were you able to come to a conclusion as to what part of the bone was cut? Or was the bone cut, I should say?
The femur was fractured, but did not appear cut other than the linear markings from cutting the tissue around it.
So were there markings on the femur?
Yes,
Did that indicate to you that a sharp force instrument had made contact with the femur?
yes.
Were you getting, were your observations that there had been an attempt made to cut through the femur?
It's possible. It's also possible just that while cutting the skin and the muscle, the knife hit the femur, and it would create a mark just from that.
Were you able to tell from looking at the transected end, the end that it was amputated from, how the femur was detached from the other part of the body, the torso?
No, I don't think we can tell.
Okay.
Some sort of blunt force injury.
It was broken?
Yes,
Where was it broken?
and the mid shaft.
How difficult would it be to do that?
Very difficult.
Can you explain that? Why would it be so difficult?
The femur is a very strong bone. It's the strongest bone of your body. We see fractures of the femur in young, healthy individuals in instances like car accidents. So you can think of that amount of force necessary to break the femur.
That's what was done here?
Yes.
I want to briefly retouch on the vital reactions. You observed no vital reactions in that leg when you examined it, correct?
That's correct.
What is a vital reaction?
You would see bleeding in the short term, and a longer term injury, you can see things like redness and swelling, scab formation.
Did that lead you to come to any conclusion on whether or not the leg was amputated from the body before or after death?
It's more likely after death.
How much blood would you expect to see if that was done before death?
A lot.
Was there any visible here?
No.
Can you explain for us why there would not be blood after death?
Yes, the heart is not pumping anymore, and so whatever blood is left in the vessels is kind of stagnant. So it's staying wherever it was when the heart stopped pumping. So you might get some blood spilling out of vessels, the larger vessels that you cut, but not in the smaller areas.
And did you then, on subsequent dates, you received additional body parts? Eventually that included a human torso belonging to Miss Robinson, correct?
Yes.
Did you, through that human torso as well as the human leg, attempt to do toxicology testing?
Yes.
Okay. Explain how.
So we recovered some muscle tissue from this leg and submitted that for toxicology testing to NMS laboratories.
What did you ask NMS laboratories to test for?
It is called an expanded panel, postmortem expanded panel. They test for hundreds of drugs and alcohol.
And then how about for the torso?
In the torso, we collected fluid from the heart, and we submitted that to our internal lab for comprehensive testing.
I'm going to show you exhibits 410, 411, and 412. Are these the toxicology reports?
Yes, they are.
Okay, I'd move 410, 11, and, excuse me, 410, 411, 412.
Any objection?
No.
So received.
I want to start, Doctor, with 410. This is the toxicology report reflecting the NMS testing, right?
Yes.
That was specifically toxicology analysis done from muscle tissue from the leg we just looked at, right?
Yes.
And they screen, do you know how many items they screened for?
Not off the top of my head. Some of them are in groups, but several hundred, at least 200.
That would include drugs as well as alcohol?
Yes.
Okay. And what was the result of that screening? What chemicals, if any, were found in the muscle tissue?
Caffeine was detected.
Only caffeine?
Correct.
No alcohol?
Correct.
No illegal drugs?
That's correct.
No substances of abuse?
That's correct.
Is there, can you explain to us the difference, muscle tissue toxicology analysis versus the cardiac blood?
The muscle's not the best specimen to test. Blood is preferred. At the time that we did this exam, we did not know if we would ever receive blood, so we collected what we were able to collect, and in this case, it's muscle. There's less data on the concentration amounts for muscle, but at the same time, it's still a valid testing source. So you would still expect drugs and alcohol to be present if they were at a concentration high enough to be considered contributory for death.
Okay. I can take that one. I'm going to hold off on going through the other two for now. Chronologically, Doctor, the next human body parts you received that were determined to be Miss Robinson's was a foot and some other tissue, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Why don't you tell us what you received exactly?
We received a left foot. It was disarticulated, meaning that it was transected through the ankle joint. And then additionally, a portion of skin with some underlying fat tissue, and then a separate portion of skeletal muscle.
I'm going to show you exhibits 419 through 422. Are those photos taken during your examination of the body parts you just described?
Yes, they are.
Move 419 through 422 in.
Any objection?
No.
Received. Go right ahead.
419, what are we looking at?
This is a photograph of the left foot, specifically depicting the smooth edges of the incision at the amputation site.
420, what are we looking at?
This view is the top-down view of the ankle joint, showing that you can see the joint surface, meaning that whoever dismembered this foot did not go through bone.
Did not go through bone?
Correct,
And
just the joint.
Okay. And were you able to tell what kind of instrument was used to do that?
A knife would be adequate to perform this.
And were you able to tell what caused the bone to break then? Or was there even a broken bone?
There was not broken bone. This is a photograph of the portion of skin and underlying subcutaneous tissue that was received.
What were you able to notice about the cuts to this piece of tissue?
Again, they're all incisions, and none of the incisions had a vital reaction.
None of them had a vital reaction?
Correct.
Like the leg?
Correct.
Suggesting to you what?
That this was done post-mortem or after death.
And lastly, 422.
This is a fragment of skeletal muscle.
Do you recall what date that you reviewed these pieces of Ms. Robinson's body?
April 8th.
Quickly, there was a different case number on that one. That number was 2402399.
Yes,
That's what we were talking about before. Different case numbers were given to the parts as they came in, but ultimately you put them all under the first case number, right?
that's correct.
All right. And to reiterate, if she had been alive at the time of that dismemberment or that amputation, you would have expected to see vital reactions.
Yes.
You then later on received a part of a femur bone?
Yes.
Okay. I'll give you a minute to turn to the page. Let me know when you're there.
Go ahead.
Good?
Yes.
All right. I'll show you Exhibit 426. Is that a photo taken from the autopsy of the femur bone?
Yes.
Move 426 and ask to publish.
Any objection?
No.
Received. Go ahead.
The femur bone, tell us what you received. What condition was it in? What did you observe?
So the larger fragment shown is a portion of femur bone with attached muscle. The muscle is desiccated. It's been exposed to the air for some time, so it's sort of dried out. The edges of the femur bone are both fractured on both sides from blunt force trauma. And then that smaller thing also in the picture is non-human remains. That is an animal bone.
Okay, so when was the examination of the femur bone done?
Also April 8th.
All right, and along with the femur bone, they had brought to you what they didn't know if it was related or not. It was turned out to be an animal bone.
Yes.
You said that there was blunt force trauma to the femur bone.
Yes.
How could you tell?
The ends were fractured.
And how is it that you could discern that that was not just a human bone, but a femur bone?
It has specific characteristics, but we did send most of the bones involved in either the transection sites or the amputation sites to anthropology for a full detailed report.
Do you recall who the person was who did that?
Dr. Jordan Karsten.
Were you able to tell just by the bone itself what leg that would have come from, left or right?
Yes, we thought the left,
Why'd you think that?
just because of the characteristics and the siding.
And then did you ultimately attempt later on to align that femur bone with other body parts that you eventually received?
Yes, we did.
The next body parts you examined were what?
The next case is a portion of a left lower extremity from the ankle to just above the knee. Additionally, a portion of skeletal muscle was received and another fragment of a long bone.
What date did you conduct this examination with Dr. Rohrer?
Also April 8th.
I'm gonna show you exhibits 423 through 425. Are those photos taken from this examination?
Yes.
Okay, move 423 to 425 in and ask to publish.
No objection.
They're received.
423 is on the screen now. This is how the lower portion of the leg was received.
Yes.
Were you able to tell if this was the right or left leg?
Left.
How were you able to tell?
It did articulate with the left foot that we had previously received,
When you say articulate, what do you mean by that?
meaning that the distal end or the further down end where the ankle would be matched the joint space of the foot.
424, that's the distal end that you're referring to?
Yes.
And 425, what end is that?
That is just above the knee. We would call that the more proximal end.
Were you able to observe whether or not any decomposition was occurring?
Yes, there's obvious decomposition in this photograph. You can see the epithelium, which is the pigmented part of the skin, has started to slough off in areas, leaving a non-pigmented part underneath it. There's also some softening and brownish discoloration of the muscle.
Did you observe that type of decomposition or discoloration in the the foot or the leg?
No.
Okay. What were you able to discern by, as to how the transection ends, how were they done? Are you able to tell?
So the distal end was through the ankle joint. The more proximal end, there's a fracture of that femur.
I want to talk about that briefly. .423 is on the screen. The femur was fractured above the knee,
Yes.
and was any fractured bone near the ankle?
No.
It was just amputated from the foot.
Correct.
Okay. Are you able to tell what kind of trauma caused the fracture to the knee?
No. Just blunt force.
I meant femur.
Oh, that's correct. Just blunt force.
Okay, blunt force. And were you able to tell whether that femur, that long bone we had previously discussed, matched to that part of the leg?
Yes, it did.
Okay. Did you examine the bone within the calf at any point?
Yes, the long bones, the tibia and the fibula, that would be in the calf section of the leg. We did look at those bones as well.
And to do so, you had to cut into the leg, right?
Yes.
What did you notice when you examined the tibia and fibula?
They were fractured.
Okay. Was there any corresponding injuries to the skin or tissue to those fractures?
Not that we could discern.
What does that cause you to conclude as to how they were fractured?
Probably they are post-mortem injuries as well. There's no bleeding. When we looked inside the tissues, you'd expect a decent amount of bleeding from an injury like that.
None here.
Correct.
And there was no corresponding incisions or cuts into the leg where those fractures occurred, right?
Correct.
What kind of force would be needed to fracture those bones without cutting the leg?
It would again be a decent amount of force, similar to a hard fall, a jump from height, motor vehicle collision, things like that.
Blunt force,
Yes,
not sharp force.
correct,
You could conclude there was no sharp force injury to that part of the leg.
correct.
Next piece, next body part that you received was what?
A portion of, it was labeled as proximal bone. It's a portion of the left femur, the part that articulates with the hip.
Is 427 a photo of it?
Yes.
Move 427 in.
Any objection?
No.
Received.
I'm putting 427 on the screen here. That's the proximal bone.
Yes.
What date did you examine this?
Also April 8th.
Were you able to conclude whether that proximal bone came from any of the other body parts that you received?
It is a left, the ball of a left femur. It did not articulate or match up with any of the pieces that we had received
But you did,
so far.
But you did have a left femur.
Yes, portions of a left femur.
Anything else that you could discern from examining the proximal bone?
Just that it is fractured,
And do you know how?
just blunt force injury.
What was the next body part?
Some time went by, and the torso is the next part that was recovered.
And what day did you examine the torso?
April 18th.
This is the part of the body that you were able to get the sample of cardiac blood for, correct?
Yes.
I'm going to show you exhibits 430 through 434.
I don't object to these either.
Move them in then and ask to publish.
Received. Could I have the numbers one more time?
430 through 434.
Thank you.
When you received the torso, tell us what you observed about decomposition.
So more of that epithelial layer had predominantly come off the body. The torso appeared to be in water for a long period of time, so there's drying artifact on the part of the torso that was exposed to the air, and not drying artifact on the part that was in the water. So you'll see a difference in the front and the back of the torso. There is more softening and discoloration of the tissues of the torso as well. And then there are shallow abrasions kind of covering the torso, which would be consistent with animal predation, such as fish.
When you're saying torso, what body parts are we specifically talking about that you examined?
So in this case, the torso consists of the chest, the abdomen, and pelvis without a right leg, without a left leg, and without a right arm, and without a head and neck.
No head and neck?
Correct. So only the left arm is attached.
Showing you exhibit 430. Is this the discoloration you were discussing?
Yes, the back was exposed to air, so it is more orange and sort of a leathery texture. And you can still see some of the epithelium in the lower part of the back and the buttocks.
The transection margins at the legs, as I put 431 on, what could you observe about those?
They have smooth edges, so they are incised wounds.
Can you discuss what you observed about the transection margin at the neckline?
Again, smooth edges, incised wound. Through the bone, it was, the neck was transected through the cervical vertebrae, sort of low on the neck, at the level of kind of the collarbone.
So her entire neck was gone.
Correct.
I want to ask you, what is strangulation?
Strangulation is where there is neck compression by an external force.
Can it cause death?
Yes.
Were you able to examine whether or not strangulation had occurred in this case?
No.
Why not?
The head and neck have not been recovered. Was
there another part of her torso that had been cut off as well?
Yes,
In the front?
yes.
What was it?
The right breast.
Showing Exhibit 432. What are we looking at?
This is a photograph of the torso as it's received from the front. So you can see the head is absent, the right arm is absent, the right breast has been cut from the body. Both legs are amputated at the level of the groin.
What needed to be cut through in order to amputate the neck and head?
The cervical vertebrae.
What needed to be cut through in order to amputate her right breast?
Just skin and soft tissue.
Did you observe any other either blunt or sharp force injuries around where the right breast was?
Yes, in the chest wall at that amputation site, there were 2 defects that exposed the right chest cavity to the environment.
432 is
sorry.
back on the screen. Sorry, I'm just clarifying the record here. Are you referring to underneath the breast?
Yes, so you can see the 2 black marks. Those are the 2 defects.
Can you please stand and point them out? I think there's a microphone next to you
Yes.
that should be on.
Is it on now? Okay.
Yes.
So here and here.
And are you able to tell, are those natural wounds, or would they have come from something?
It's very difficult to tell given the fact that the whole area is decomposed. They look like penetrating injuries to me. So not something that would occur naturally. I can't entirely rule out that while the body was in the water, something caused those injuries.
Okay, but they're penetrating wounds?
Yes,
Would a stab wound be a kind of penetrating wound?
yes.
I'm going to show you 433. What are we looking at here?
This is a view of kind of the top down of the body. So the bird tattoo is on her right shoulder. You can see the amputation site of the head and the neck, and also the right arm.
And then one of those penetrating wounds is where I'm pointing to right here?
That's correct.
Okay. .434. What are we looking at?
The upper part of the torso, specifically in the middle of the photograph, there are a series of incised and stab wounds above the left breast.
Can you point those out, please?
Yes, the group is right here.
How many stab wounds are there?
There are 7 incised and stab wounds grouped together.
Okay. Are there any other incised and stab wounds that you noticed other than those 7 on the torso?
Yes, there are some small superficial ones, kind of, I'm not sure this is the best photograph for it, but these are the ones that are the most noticeable.
Where were the superficial ones that you observed?
They were more, they were further down. It could possibly be these here.
All right. But the ones that you pointed out up here, those were not just superficial.
Correct. So some of them are stab wounds, meaning that they're deeper than they are long.
Like puncture wounds?
Yes.
Were there any internal injuries observed?
Underlying the defects on the right chest cavity, there is a defect to the middle lobe of the right lung. The pleura is disrupted there. Again, it is very difficult to tell what that is from.
And is partially that due to the level of decomposition of the body?
Yes, and then also because the body was exposed to water for a long period of time, any blood that may have been there would be washed away.
The 7 stab wounds, were you able to tell whether or not those caused any internal damage?
We did not see any injury associated with those.
So only on the right side, and what did it puncture?
The middle lobe of the right lung.
And what kind of effect would that have had on a human being?
It would be difficult to breathe. You could get a pneumothorax, meaning air accumulation in the chest that prevents you from breathing. You could also theoretically bleed to death from an injury like that without medical intervention.
And in sum, you can't say how that internal injury occurred at the end of the day, right?
Correct.
Any of the sharp force injuries or stab wounds, including the internal injury, were you able to come to any conclusion as to whether those would have occurred before or after death?
It's impossible to tell.
Tell us why it's not possible for you to make that determination.
There is some decomposition, but mostly it's because the body was in water, and we would expect to see bleeding from these injuries if they were before death, and the water, again, would wash that away.
So you can't tell if there were any vital reactions the same way you would be able to tell or were able to tell from examining the leg.
Correct.
So it's possible those occurred while she was alive, the injuries to the torso, but it's also possible that they did not occur while she was alive.
That's correct.
The lower extremity amputation transection points, were you able to come to any additional conclusions or make any additional observations from examination of the torso as opposed to just examining, for example, the leg?
Not much more. Again, the right leg was cut, or the femur was broken, and that was the transection site. The left leg was disarticulated, meaning that the ball of the femur was removed from the pelvis.
What would be, for lack of a better term, easier to do, cut through the femur or disarticulate at the pelvis?
Disarticulation would be easier.
Explain that, please.
You only need a knife to cut through the joint spaces rather than needing some sort of tool to go through the bones.
Were there any other superficial injuries you observed on the torso that we haven't discussed yet?
Just scattered abrasions and contusions. I believe there are some contusions on the back half of the torso.
And you were clearly able to tell those amputation locations were, there were sharp force injuries and precise cuts?
Yes.
Were you able to tell from what kind of instrument or no?
Just a sharp force instrument, so knife is usually the instrument used for that.
Were you able to conclude based on those observations whether those limbs were intentionally severed from Sade's torso?
The presence of incised wounds would suggest that they are intentional.
The area of the right leg, did that match up to the torso? Or
Yes.
sorry, I meant, did that match up to the right leg that had previously been found?
Yes.
You were able to conclude that that right leg that you originally examined came from that torso?
Yes.
You then, sometime later, I believe in May, received the right arm, correct?
The right arm washed up to the shore of Waukegan Beach on May 11th. We did not receive that arm until June. Because of jurisdictional issues, the Lake County Coroner's Office needed to positively identify the arm belonging to Sade Robinson before they could release it to us.
Was that done?
Yes.
And then afterwards, was it transported to your office?
Yes.
Going to show you Exhibit 262. that a photograph of the arm you examined that had washed ashore in Waukegan, Illinois?
Yes.
Okay, move 262 in.
No objection.
It's received.
This photograph was not taken by you, correct?
That's correct.
What were you able to observe from the photograph of the right arm?
There is, as expected, more decomposition. There's also a defect of the right forearm that is likely due to animal predation. There was no injury of the bone underneath it.
And the transection end, were you able to conclude anything off of that?
It gets more difficult the longer or the further decomposition goes, but they appear to be incised wounds as well.
There was a significant amount of decomposition to the right arm, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Was that amount of decomposition in any way a surprise to you if the arm had been in Lake Michigan for over a month?
No.
Does that those were all of the body parts to date that have been recovered, is that correct?
Yes.
The torso, I want to return to, I think it's exhibits 411 and 412. They're two toxicology reports, is that correct?
Yes.
All right, and this was of the cardiac blood from the torso.
Yes.
Explain what cardiac blood is and why it's used for toxicology analysis.
It's the blood that's obtained from the heart. And again, blood is the preferred source for toxicology testing. So when we noticed that there was some fluid within the heart, we collected it and decided to send it as well.
Was there a limitation to what could be done with this particular cardiac sample?
Yes.
Explain that.
So first, there was a limited amount of the fluid. And then second, I'm using the term fluid because, again, all of the transaction sites are open to the lake water. So a lot of this fluid might be lake water.
Diluted, if you will.
Yes,
Okay. But that was not a problem for the muscle tissue.
that's correct.
That leg had not been in the lake, to your knowledge, right?
Correct.
All right. So with that being the case, and you had already, by the time that the torso was being examined, you were already getting toxicology analysis done for the muscle tissue from the leg.
Yes.
Did you but you nevertheless opted to do toxicology analysis for the cardiac blood? Why?
Just to be thorough,
All right. Did you have the result back yet from the NMS lab?
it's likely we did.
And so what were you testing for in the cardiac blood? If you had already known that it was just caffeine, tell us what you were testing for.
Similar things. Because we have an internal lab, we can look at the data ourselves and kind of get an idea of whether there's anything strange that shows up on the machine. I'm not the one who does the testing, so I don't know specifics, but I know that our toxicologist will say, hey, there's this thing, do you want us to look for it more thoroughly? It's nice that we have that ability to do that.
And what was the results from the cardiac blood toxicology analysis?
So caffeine was again detected.
Was that surprising to you based on what had been detected in the muscle?
No.
All right. Caffeine, what else?
Theophylline. Theophylline is a metabolite of caffeine, so again, not surprising. Beta-phenylethylamine. That's a mouthful. Yeah.
Can you spell that for the court?
It's B-phenethylamine. And that is a compound that we see not infrequently in bodies that have been decomposed. It is created during the decomposition process.
All right. And can you, just while we're on it, spell the first one? I think it was theophylline or something.
Yes, Theophylline.
Was there another substance that initially was screened for but then determined to be too low?
Yes. That is spelled Phendimethrazine. Phendimetrazine.
And what is phendimetrazine?
It is a diet pill.
Okay. But there's actually, and the reason you have two reports is because one of them actually, you guys took the phendimetrazine off the toxicology report, correct?
That's correct.
How come?
So all of these are initial screening tests, meaning that we do one method of toxicology testing to screen for compounds, and then with whatever positive results we see, we confirm using a different method. When we went to confirm the phendimetrazine, it was not present. So it was believed to be either a false positive or too low to detect.
So at the end of the day, based on all the toxicology analysis that was done, not just by your office, but by NMS lab, what in total, can you just summarize what was found in her through toxicology?
Caffeine is found, and there is nothing else that would contribute or cause death.
All right. And how does caffeine inform on cause of death to you?
It doesn't. Most people have caffeine in their blood.
A lot of autopsies, if not most of them that you conduct, you see caffeine.
Yes.
At the end of all of this, were you able to conclude whether or not any kind of substance of abuse, drug, or alcohol had any role in causing Sade Robinson's death?
Yes.
What is your conclusion?
That no substances contributed or caused her death.
Did you, throughout your examination of her body parts, notably her torso, did you observe any kind of evidence of natural disease or physical deformations or anything like that?
No.
Did you find any evidence whatsoever through your examinations of a physical reason why she died that was natural to her body?
No.
Before we move on from the toxicology, doctor, did you consider at all dilution? I know you had mentioned it when we talked about the cardiac blood. How would dilution play or not play a role in your opinion?
So if something were present and diluted, it would be difficult to interpret. I'm making most of my determinations on the toxicology results based on the muscle tissue.
And that's because those would not have been in lake water and thus diluted.
Correct.
And does that assist you in being able to conclude that drugs and alcohol did not play a role in her death?
Yes.
Can you summarize for us what body parts belonging to Sade Robinson you have not been able to examine?
Yes, the head, the neck, and it's possible that portions of her left thigh are still absent.
The flesh that would surround her left femur bone?
Yes.
Were you therefore in any way able to determine whether some kind of trauma had occurred to her head and neck area?
No.
Because you couldn't even look at it?
Correct.
Blunt force trauma couldn't have been determined?
Correct.
Strangulation couldn't have been determined?
Correct.
In your experience conducting autopsies, have there been times where there is some kind of trauma to the head or neck area that does not cause bleeding but nevertheless causes death?
Yes.
Can you summarize some examples of that or what you're talking about?
I'm going to object on relevance grounds to this case. He's asking about other examples.
Why is it relevant?
Because she hasn't been able to come to a conclusion on what happened to Sade Robinson's head because she's never been able to find it. So it's relevant to hear what could have happened to her head and neck.
It's speculation as well.
It would call for speculation.
I'm not asking the witness to speculate on what happened.
You're asking for her opinion on other?
No, I'm asking her, in her experience, what she has seen happen to others in the head and neck area that did not cause blood.
I'll allow that. You can answer that.
So strangulation often has internal injury, but no external signs of bleeding. Similarly, most types of asphyxia, so suffocation or smothering, could result in death without much injury.
Bludgeoning?
You'd expect some external bleeding, but it's possible that there might not be.
Were there DNA swabs or samples taken during autopsy of each of these parts?
Yes.
Is that routine practice for every autopsy you conduct?
No.
Okay. Why was it done here?
We did not know if all of these body parts were from the same individual or if we were dealing with multiple individuals. And so we couldn't know that until everything was identified.
Were there... Sorry, I got it. Were there other attempts made? So basically the investigation, you were gonna have forensic testing to see if we could determine whether these body parts belong to the same individual through DNA.
Yes.
Did you attempt to, but you've already discussed you've attempted to fit pieces together, right?
Yes.
Did that work?
Yes.
Can you tell us which pieces?
Yes. So the right humerus matched with the torso. The right femur matched with the right femur from the torso. Several fragments of the left femur matched together, except for the disarticulated end, but that fit inside the acetabulum of the torso.
Showing you 428 and 429. Were these photos taken from autopsy?
Yes.
Move 428 and 429 in and ask to publish.
Fine.
They're received, go ahead.
You attempted to see if the foot and leg recovered later on matched the original right leg. Right?
Yes.
Here's 428. Did it appear to you that they were the same size and potentially belonged to the same person?
Yes, visually they were the same.
429. The feet matched.
Yes.
It matched in size, right?
Yes.
And she even had pink nail polish on each foot.
Correct.
The DNA swabs that were obtained during the different portions of this autopsy, would those have been turned over to someone from the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department?
Yes.
At the end of the day, Doctor, one of the things you're attempting to do here is to see if you can come to a conclusion on cause and manner of death. Is that right?
Yes.
Can you tell us what is cause and what is manner? How are they different?
So the cause of death is the event that leads to a person's death. The examples include a heart attack or a gunshot wound or ingestion of drugs. The manner of death refers to the circumstances in which the cause of death happened. So a good example is a gunshot wound. That is a cause of death. The manner could be homicide if the death is at the hands of another. It could be suicide if the death is at the hands of oneself. And it could be accidental if the gun accidentally went off.
What are the different manners of death that you're allowed to come to a conclusion as?
There is natural, accident, suicide, homicide, and undetermined.
In this case, were you able to come to an anatomic or structural cause of death?
No.
Why not? Why were you not able to do that?
The way that the body was received in pieces and partially decomposed in the water, all of that makes it difficult to determine cause of death.
Did it also factoring into that difficulty was also the fact that you had never been able to examine her head and neck?
That's correct.
were you able to come to a conclusion on manner of death?
Yes.
And what are you considering when coming to that conclusion?
The circumstances in which the body is found. So the fact that there is dismemberment of the body and an attempt to conceal the body by disposing of it in different locations, also in the water. All of that is objectively suspicious and is most consistent with a homicide.
And were you also considering toxicology, environmental factors, natural disease, that sort of thing?
Yes, all of that has to be ruled out for me to feel comfortable determining the manner as homicide.
And did you rule out all those things?
Yes,
What was your final conclusion as to manner of death?
homicide.
I have nothing else.
Ross?
To be clear, homicide by unspecified means, right?
Yes, that is what the cause of death is listed as.
That's your conclusion.
Yes,
Unspecified meaning no idea how it happened.
correct.
And unspecified means no idea how it happened, right?
Yes.
Now, when you were asked questions before at the beginning, you were asked about how you conduct an autopsy, and you talked about how you do a Y incision typically to begin, right?
Yes.
And you talked about using a saw.
Yes.
Is that a bone saw?
Yes.
What does it look like?
It's a circular saw with kind of serrated edges.
It's a power tool.
Yeah.
And you said we need to use that. Why do you need to use something of that, something like that?
So we use the saw to remove the skull cap. The skull is very thick, and there's no good way to remove the skull cap and visualize the brain without a saw.
Okay, and you said that bones themselves are very difficult to remove. It requires tools to remove bones as well?
The disarticulation would only require a knife. The rest of the limbs were fractured, so I'm not sure if a tool was used in those cases.
How would one remove a leg from a human body without a tool?
So you'd need a knife to
Okay.
disarticulate the leg, or potentially just breaking it.
Okay, and what level of force would be required to break a leg off of a body?
A high level of force.
And what does that mean?
I can't give you a specific number associated with that, but femurs can break in car accidents, and that's the best I can compare to.
So you're talking like a high velocity motor vehicle collision?
Yes, but that doesn't have to be the case. It's just an example.
Okay, falling off a building used as an example.
Yes,
Those are the types of events that can fracture a femur, right?
yes,
But we're talking removing the entire femur from the body, right?
yes,
Which is a much different experience than just getting in a car accident and having something break the bone, right?
sort of. So there was evidence of a knife used to cut the skin and soft tissue, and then once you remove all of that, all that's necessary is to break the bone in some manner.
Right, which you're saying is some level of force that you can't, a high level of force that you can't quantify for the jury.
Correct.
It's not something you've ever tried in your thousands of autopsies, right?
I have broken femurs.
You've removed it from a body.
Yes.
Okay, and describe the procedure.
I used a saw.
Okay. The same thing you were talking about for the skull cap,
Yes.
a bone saw.
Yes.
Okay. And it would be important when you're doing your investigation in this case to know whether any tools were, and when you use a bone saw, you're cutting into the bone of the body and producing residue, aren't you?
Yes, some dust is created.
And you wear a mask?
Yes,
Do you wear protective covering over your clothes?
always,
Okay, why?
because I don't want to be covered in bodily fluids.
Right.
We
And
do that as a normal course of autopsies.
don't want to be covered in bodily fluid.
Correct.
And that's because when we're cutting into a body, it produces fluid. There's blood, for example, there's fluid in bones, there's liquid, there's other things, right?
There can be, yes.
clothing you wear is essentially just, is it what we're just picturing, like an apron, basically?
Yes, I wear a hospital gown and then a plastic apron over it.
Now, when you do an autopsy, before you ever do an autopsy, you have people who work for the medical examiner's office who go out and do an investigation for you. Isn't that true?
Yes,
And these people are directed to gather evidence and to look into things to try to help you form your conclusions.
they gather information, they don't collect evidence.
But they canvass areas and interview people, don't they?
Yes,
And it's the police, obviously, who collect the evidence.
yes,
But as part of your report that you did in this case, you read the investigative reports that were done as well by the people who work for the medical examiner's office, right?
yes,
And and that's all part of the analysis, right? You read the reports, do you also look at police reports too?
yes.
Is it important to try to identify where a homicide happened?
It is for the police investigation. It's not necessarily important for my portion of it.
Okay, you used the example before of like gunshot wounds, for example, right?
Yes,
And then there's different ways in which a shooting can happen. Accidental, suicide, intentional, right?
yes,
That's true with homicide in general. It can be an intentional act. It can also be a reckless act and other variations, right?
yes. So for us, the medical definition of homicide is death at the hands of another. We're not talking about the legal definition of homicide.
Does the autopsy that you did in this case tell you where the victim passed away?
No,
It doesn't tell you anything about the location?
no,
And it doesn't, you were asked questions about strangulation. That's not a conclusion here, is it?
I can't make that conclusion.
So no, you're not concluding strangulation.
Correct.
And you're, in these, the stab, did we have stab wounds? Did you testify to that?
Yes,
Are you concluding that that was the manner of death?
I can't say.
So you can't say that the knife caused the death, and you can't say that she was strangled
Correct,
or suffocated
correct.
or any other way, right?
That is why homicide by unspecified means is the cause of death ruling.
Did you look at reports before you reached your conclusions? Did you read reports about the search of Max Anderson's home? Was that part of your examination?
It probably was included in the law enforcement reports. I don't remember specifics of that portion.
Did you look at whether there were any tools ever linked to Mr. Anderson that could be connected to this crime?
I don't remember that.
You talked about toxicology. Excuse me. Let's talk about drugs in general. Alcohol is a drug, right?
Yes,
Now, what amount of alcohol was found in the victim's blood
none,
or the muscle?
none.
How can it be that a person is drinking alcohol and there's none found?
So options include metabolization. So the drug naturally metabolizes in the blood and is removed from the body. Or it could be that the level of detection is higher than the concentration in the blood.
And when we're talking, so the jury understands here, how much blood is in a human body? Is it 5 liters?
Yeah, roughly.
And what is an example of a liter? You have a water bottle in front of you. Is that about the size of a liter if you hold it up?
This is half a liter.
Okay, so 10 of those.
Yes,
And when a person drinks alcohol or coffee or uses drugs, those things absorb into their blood. Is that what you've said?
yes,
But does all of that absorb into their muscle tissue as well?
yes, it's dispersed throughout the body.
And typically, in order to assess whether somebody used drugs, we want a blood sample. That's the best source. Would you agree with that?
Yes, that has the most data.
And the problem with muscle tissue is, especially if it's recent use, it may not have time to absorb into the muscle tissue, right?
That's possible.
And same with alcohol, same sort of thing. If we test the blood, we know it's there rather quickly.
Yes,
And also different drugs have half-lives, if you will. They metabolize at different speeds, right?
Yes,
Some are fast and some are short.
yes,
In fact, some metabolize, some drugs like cocaine, for example, metabolizes in a matter of hours from a person's blood, doesn't it?
yes,
Now, so there's no alcohol found anywhere in Miss Robinson's samples that were sent for testing, right?
yes,
Now, the blood that was sent, I thought you said before that it had been exposed to lake water, right?
yes,
Because it was taken from the heart.
yes,
Is that the only blood that you were able to take at all from the body, was the blood from the heart?
yes.
How much, if you can you quantify how much that was that you were able to remove? Or look at your report?
It doesn't say on the report, but it was a low volume. That's all I can say.
And that's what you sent to NMS labs for testing?
No, the muscle was sent to NMS labs.
The blood that you recovered, did you test that in-house?
The lab did, yes.
Okay. And one of the problems with that is that the torso had been exposed to lake water for a period of time, and therefore you said you don't know if you're actually testing blood or perhaps just testing lake water.
It was bloody visually, so there was some amount of blood in it, which is why we decided to test it. But
Okay,
it could be diluted,
To what degree, you don't know.
correct?
In other words, if it's 99% lake water, 1% blood, you don't have any way to quantify.
I doubt it would look like blood if it were 99% lake water, but you're correct. We can't know the level of dilution.
Because the machinery doesn't quantify that, right?
Correct.
And you said muscle's not the best specimen to test for that reason, that drugs don't always absorb well into muscle tissue.
Well, drugs do absorb into muscle tissue. It's just there's not a lot of data that help us determine what the concentrations mean because muscle isn't normally taken from living individuals. So it's difficult to know what the concentrations are when we receive them.
With respect to blood or liquids, did you say before that you use a gown to prevent liquid from getting on your clothes? Is that what you had said?
Yes,
Bodily fluids, maybe you said, right?
yes,
When limbs are removed from one's body, that can produce bleeding, right?
yes,
And you said before that depending on the size of the blood vessel will be different amounts of blood that's released, right?
yes,
We know for sure that in this case, the only measurable amount of blood that was ever located is the tiny amount from the heart that you found, right?
yes,
Meaning that the rest of it is dispersed somewhere, right?
yes,
Whether that would be at a location, you don't know the location of where that blood would be.
correct.
And in the amount of blood, well, we know all of it is gone, right? We know all 5 liters is pretty much gone.
Yes,
But in terms of like when we're removing a limb or stabbing, let's use stabbing as an example. There were some stab wounds, right?
yes,
Typically when one gets a cut, a stab wound, they bleed from that, right?
yes.
Did you, in reaching your conclusions, did you go back and read reports from the search of Mr. Anderson's home, for example, to see whether any blood was located at his house?
I don't remember the specifics of that part of the report.
Isn't that important for you to know whether there's any evidence of any blood at all in Mr. Anderson's house?
No, that doesn't change what I see at the time of exam.
Doesn't matter.
Correct.
It doesn't matter to you whether there's any evidence of blood at Warnemont Park, for example?
Again, it doesn't change what I see at the time of exam.
Okay. So really all you care about is what you're seeing on the examination. The circumstances of the police investigation don't matter a whole lot for purposes of your unspecified homicide conclusion.
I don't think that's entirely true. The circumstances are important, but where Sade passed away where her dismemberment occurred, that doesn't change anything in my cause and manner of death determination.
But what's most important is who did it though, right?
I do not, that is not my job.
Well, you've testified that obviously all the body parts belong to Sade and it's an unspecified homicide, right?
Yes,
But you offer no conclusion about who
no,
or where
correct.
or how.
I try my best to figure out how.
But at the end of the day, the conclusion is I don't know.
That's correct.
Okay, that's all.
State?
Would you expect extensive bleeding if there was post-mortem dismemberment?
Not nearly as much as if there was antemortem dismemberment. So when the blood is pumping, the blood will continue to pump until it doesn't have enough blood and undergoes cardiac arrest. So a large amount of blood can be lost. In the post-mortem setting, there might not be very much blood.
And you saw no evidence of vital reactions on the leg or any other body part, correct?
Correct.
Which suggested to you there wasn't much bleeding, if any. Is
Correct.
that fair?
Yes.
Okay. And the body wouldn't be metabolizing substances after the body is deceased. Is that true?
Cocaine can still get metabolized, but we see evidence of that in the metabolites. They show up in the blood still.
And no metabolites showed up in either the blood or the muscle tissue that was analyzed?
Correct.
Nothing else?
Attorney Cotton?
1 minute, please. No, nothing.
Thank you, Doctor.
Thank you.